All right. Well, thanks for hopping on today, Bill. How's the week been in the business?
Things have been hopping to it, as we say around here. It's actually been a really great week. Our commercial side, signed over just under $1.5 million already this week, and out of the blue, the residential side really has been coming alive. Sold in 1 week what had already been in residential replacements, what they did throughout the entire first 2 weeks of August. Yeah, it's been a hopping to it kind of week here at Kanga.
Well, thanks for taking the time to hop on the podcast. Everyone who's checking in, so we're with Bill today from Kanga Roof, rapidly growing roofing company. We're really excited to get his insights of how they got to this point and where they're going in the future. But to start nice and simple, tell us about Kanga Roof. How did it start, and what are you guys providing?
Yeah, absolutely, Quade. So, we always joke we're family run, but we are as family run as it's ever going to get. My dad is the founder. He founded the company about 19 years ago. And when we started, we were strictly commercial, right? And, what you think of as commercial, working for big GCs, bid work, low margin. And the whole reason it ever came to be was just my dad's gut belief. He had started in this industry years and years ago with Milk Brand Roofing here in Metro Detroit, which was a great organization. Worked for a couple other competitors after that, largely in the estimating side, a little bit in sales. Worked on the supply side, even worked on the manufacturing side, and always came back to the contractor side. He just liked the relationships with the clients, liked the relationships with the team, and being able to drive around town and go, "Hey, look, Junior, I did that roof. We did that roof. We did that roof." I think that always just kind of stuck with him. And I say, fortunately, the roofing industry doesn't have a great reputation. There's a lot of less than stellar work that's done. I think that's the polite way to say it. And my dad had this core belief. He's like, "Man, I see all the nonsense that happens. I see the shortcuts. I see contracts that are signed one way, but the work is done another, and then the building owner is none the wiser, even though they got shortchanged in a pretty substantial way." And he went, if we just do things the right way and treat people the right way, both internally with the team, externally with the clients, he's like, with the amount of nonsense that happens in this industry, my God, you got to be able to make a living doing this and be able to go home at night and feel good about yourself. And that's really the genesis of what started this business 19 years ago. Um, the other flip side to it, what I would say is too, he started it about 19 years ago. I have two younger brothers. My brother Matthew, who's my business partner, my youngest brother James, who works in finance. And being the dad that he is, he said, my boys are going to learn what the heck hard work is. So, from the time we were kids, that's what we did, Saturdays, weekends, you were out there picking up shingles or peeling sheet metal. And his belief was, you're going to learn what the heck hard work is. You're going to learn a skilled trade so you can always provide for yourselves. And hopefully, you'll realize this is really hard, dangerous work, and I may not want to do the install part the rest of my life. And you'll go get a degree and go do something else. And well, look how that turned out. Me and my brother are back here, obviously working, I would say, on the business, not in it as much. And it's been awesome. And I really value that upbringing. I think that's part of what gives me and my brother the perspective we have as it pertains to the team. You know, over that journey, I would say about 12 to 14 years ago, because he was doing good work when it was just my dad. We have these evil things called friends and family, and they would ask him, "Well, can't you do my roof? Can you help me with this?" And the residential side just slowly kind of percolated, right? Grew to a point where it became a problem, a good problem, but a problem. We got to build a process. We either got to do it or not. And he said, "No, we're going to do it." And that was right around the time my brother Matthew had come back. He went to Michigan State, thought he wanted to be a teacher. Quickly learned that being in the same classroom all day, every day with the same 30 kids was not actually what he wanted to do. So they started down that journey, and it just slowly grew and grew and grew. And we're pretty unique because I don't know of any other roofing company around us, at least, that is equally committed to both the commercial side and the residential side. It either means we're brilliant or psychotic. We haven't figured out which one it is yet. But that became our commitment. You know, we didn't want to just do one. We wanted to be excellent at both because we kind of had that belief like, well, if we help this building owner, well, they got to have their own home, live somewhere. Why would they have to hire another roofer? And every homeowner we help with, well, they have jobs, they work in a business somewhere. Well, they probably want that same great experience at their office that they had on their home. And that's really been the genesis of it. You know, we've grown. I mean, truly started as a one-man operation. You know, we've grown over these last 19 years. We have about 73, I would say W-2 employees. This is not a subcontractor shop. You know, our service department, our team members, our salesmen are actual team members, right? You're going to be part of Team Kanga. You're going to be part of Team Kanga because we're going to invest too much in you and love you too much that I'm not going to have 1099s. I'm going to have people that we can count on that are committed to our vision and the way we do things because we openly say we're really different, good, bad, or indifferent. We're really different than the competition, and we do things the way we think is right. And you know what? The proof is in the pudding. We tell the team all the time, we wouldn't have the success we had if we did things the way everybody else, the way the rest of the competition does it. And it's what's led to that growth and just truly having an awesome team. And if you asked 18-year-old Bill Jr., would he ever be sitting in this position in this company? I would have told you you're crazy because I thought I hated roofing and I never wanted anything to do with it. And after being back now for about 8 years, I couldn't imagine not doing what I'm doing with the team that I have and getting to work every day with my friends, with my brother, with my father. You know, it's special and it's truly awesome.
I mean, incredible origin story and super cool how to see you guys transition, kind of expand from commercial to more the residential side and things like that. I'm kind of curious, maybe we could touch on a little bit of both of them, but with you guys doing these two things, like you said, sometimes people might say it's almost psychotic because you're adhering to two whole different groups. I'm interested, maybe we start with the commercial side. You know, how are you guys making this special experience for them? You know, what does Kanga Roof really have behind it that gives it that kick?
Yeah, yeah. One of the key things that we identified, I'm going to say about 4 years ago, was, and we are an EOS company. I'm not going to hide it. So this isn't some secret magic potion. One of the tenements of EOS is you have to have your proven process, right? That you follow every single time. And we developed that. We didn't always have that, right? But we developed it. And for us, you know, we identify it, you know, the first step, no matter what is, we meet with every single client. From there, we inspect every single roof. You know, we're putting boots on the roof. From there, we meet with every single client. No, we don't email bids in. No, we don't leave a quote in your mailbox. I don't care if it's commercial or residential. And when we do that, a big part of that is just the education, making sure people know what they're getting. From there, the next step in our process is every single project, every single repair goes through a actual handoff and review process where like our salesmen are great salesmen and we want them to be that. But if we ask them to be project managers, they need to be really mediocre salesmen and really mediocre project managers or really good at one and really bad at the other. So every single contract goes through a handoff process with either the project manager for a replacement or with our service superintendent on a repair. We then, I love this one. The next step is do great work. I love it because my brother's in charge of production and I'm like, you got one step in this whole process. What could your job be so stressful about? Right. But then the next one is everything goes through a quality control process, right? Every single roof is inspected by a third party. We don't have the foreman or the project manager doing that quality control. The analogy we use is, would you really let your sixth grader check their own test? Absolutely not. And my foremen don't love it when I say it that way, but the principle is, what does a foreman want to do? They want to do a great job. They want to get it done and they want to move on to the next one. Do they really want to find if there was something that they missed? So we actually have quality control inspectors that go on every repair, every replacement, and actually do that inspection before we send the invoice. So if there is something wrong, we still tell the building owner or the homeowner, it's like, hey, just so you know, you can't pay yet. We still have to get back out there and we got to fix something before you're done. And then from there, it is annual check-ins, right? We have a great maintenance program. We hope everybody's in, where we're out on that roof every single year, both commercially and residentially. If you're not in our maintenance programs, we're still going to reach out to you at least once a year and just check in with you. How are things going? If there's a major storm event, we're going to reach out and go, hey, are you good? Do you need help? Right? Because we were the ones who helped you before. We trusted you. And if they say yes, guess what? It just goes right back into that same cycle. And I think our willingness to commit to following that process every single time is, and as we've gotten tighter and tighter and tighter on that, has been what has allowed for that kind of systemic growth. You know, we've never shot, like, we don't want to do this. We see that too often in our industry, where all of a sudden there's a roofer who's doing 5 million, then they're doing 12, then they're doing 18, and then what happened? So every year we've just been shooting for this like 8 to 15% growth year over year. And, you know, by following that process, good things happen. You know, I love, you know, success leaves clues. You know, there's a proven process for just about anything if you're willing to do the late work to go find it and then to be disciplined enough to trust it and follow it. And that's really what I owe a lot of our success to is once we came up with and built that on best practices, our proven process, trust our team, trust our, you know, what we came up with. And yeah, no, not everyone else is going to do this, but we are. You know, that quality control process, I can't tell you how much everyone looks at that as a line item expense. I can't tell you how much that has saved us in warranty calls just by putting that in there. And then by, you know, extension of that, how many more referrals we get because guess what? They don't have issues, they don't have leaks. So when somebody asks them, hey, who did you use? They're happy to refer us out to the next person.
You know,
So that was probably a little long-winded, but that's, you know, that really is what's kind of defined us over these last couple of years.
and the amount of quality you guys are giving is extreme and amazing for all these people. Obviously, the first thing I think of is, you know, how that affects price and things like that. For you guys, is quality is like non-negotiable? You know, we'll price it to where we have to, or how do you balance those two?
I'm not going to give my dad's analogy. He gives the, you know, you can have a fast, you can have it, you can have a fast product, a great product, or a cheap product, but you only get two. Pick which two, right? You know, we're open and upfront with people to go, hey, if you're hoping we're going to compete on price, we're not going to be the right contractor for you. Now, if you want us to compete, we don't even say on quality, but if you want us to compete on making sure you get the proper life cycle out of your roof. And if you want us to compete on price on a life cycle, we're happy to do that because, you know, if we get you 30 years out of that roof, right? And we're 100, let's just say the commercial roof was $100,000, you know, that's 3,000 a year. If you take that somebody else who's charging you 80 and you only get 17 or 18 years out of that, I can tell you which one is actually cheaper in the long run, right? Because that same $100,000 roof in 17 years is going to be a lot more. And that means you've paid for that roof twice. Odds are you probably have also paid a lot in repairs that have led you to at 17 years to go, crap, I have to replace this. So that's the discussion we want to have, and we're pretty upfront. Like, we're not the cheap guys. We don't plan to be the cheap guys. If you want the cheap guys, that's cool. We can tell you who to call, but that's not us. If you want a great roofing system, if you want a great experience, and you want a partner, right? Because we do want them in the maintenance program. We want to stay with them, you know, for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. We're the guys you call when you want that. And you know what? Everyone's scared of price, but when you can actually break it down and educate people on it, most people really do want that long-term security and they want a trusted professional. They won't always love writing the check, but they feel good about it to know, hey, I do know that if there's a problem or there's an issue, I know who to call. I know what my protections are. I know what, you know, we talk all about it too with whether it's a homeowner or a business owner, the guarantees and the warranties affect the price. How much liability do you want to assume as the home or business owner? how much do you want us to assume, right? And the more liability you want us to assume, yeah, it's going to require a greater investment. The less liability you want us to assume, or the greater you're willing to assume, the lower the investment's going to be. But it means you're willing to accept that risk, right? We don't change how we do it, but it's just having that open and honest discussion.
Yeah. It makes sense. I think a lot of people are worried or scared. They have that risk in their mindset, right? And it makes sense. The way you break it down, it just diminishes that risk to where there's not any, and they're willing to pay more because they're now more confident. You're talking about all these large life cycles, and you guys, having these large warranties and processes and things. I'd love to transition to more looking forward into the company and what your guys' plans are looking forward. You and me mentioned a little bit before the call how you guys are actually going through the process of transferring ownership within the family business, and I think that'd be a great thing to touch. How's that been for you guys? Taking the business from your dad.
Yeah, it's we think it's been pretty good. But we did it different than, I'm fortunate. I have a lot of peers who own, the roofing companies throughout the country, or HVAC or plumbing. And a lot of us are all, family owned, maybe first generation, second generation. And what always scared me was like, so many of these companies don't actually have a clear buyout plan, or it's all based on these assumptions of, well, my mom and dad own it, and at some point they're just going to give it to me, or those types of assumptions are really dangerous. And I've seen it literally fracture families. And when I came back, I told my brother this, I told my dad this, I will walk away from this before I ever let it damage my relationship with either one of them. So, like for us, we just sat in a room and said, okay, what do you want? What do you want? And hashed it out, and then brought the attorneys in, made sure it was just absolutely locked tight. We, at the time, neither my brother nor I were married, right? And we had to have the open and honest discussion with each other to go, I really love and trust you, and I really love and trust you. But if you marry somebody crazy, that can really throw a business sideways, right? Because the spouse is a big deal. So we put provisions into the buy-sell agreement to protect the business from a spouse, how to handle something like that. And it's all black and white. It's ironed out. There's no confusion. And from the rest of our team, like, we don't hide anything from them. Now, they may not know the exact breakdowns, right, or the price points, but they have a real clear understanding of what the transition plan is. They're not worried about it. They know what's happening, which I think for us with our team gives them security, because we tell people, we don't want you to have a job with us. We want you to have a career. It might be a 5-year career. It might be a 30-year career, but we want you to have a career because we're going to invest everything we got in you. Well, if they're unsure of what the structure is going to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, can you really ask somebody to make that kind of investment into you as an organization? So we just feel it's all symbiotic, right? We can only do great work if we take great care of our team. Our team can only do great work if we take great care of them. And it's just part of being, you'll hear me say it a lot. It's just part of being open and honest, right? Now, we can't share absolutely everything, but we try and share just about everything we possibly can with our team, with our clients, because, my analogy, when I used to be like, when I came back, I was a sales team of one. And what I used to tell homeowners is like, hey, if you want to play this like everybody else, like a game of poker, and you keep your cards really close to your chest, and I'll keep mine really close to my chest, I'm going to see if I can get everything out of you that I can get, and you see if you can get as little out of me as you can get. You can do that. But I find it way better if we just play cards on the table open handed. And if I'm not the right fit, that's cool. If you don't want to play that way, also fine. I'm still playing with my cards on the table, because whether you choose to use us or not, at the end, I want you to walk away having had a great experience. And, we might not have been the right fit for you, but maybe you still refer us to your neighbor or to your boss or somebody else. And that's what we preach, and that's how we operate.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these family businesses can often get kind of messy with more of these like handshake type agreements. But you guys went in, you made it solid, and you made the point that you share the plan to everyone, so everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it just gives clarity. And like, my brother, myself, and there's a third gentleman, Brian, who's our partner. We're having another discussion right now to go, hey, do we want to rebalance, reorganize some of the breakdown? If we do that, guess what? We're going to share with the team what we did and why. We, again, aren't going to share necessarily the percentages or any of the dollar amounts, but why would we hide it? We want them to know. And right now in our industry, there's so much talk about private equity. We want our team to know, like, yeah, we're not going the private equity route. We're not interested in that. We're in this for the long haul. We hope you're in this for the long haul because that's that is in every one of your team members' minds, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. They're always wondering, especially if you're a good business, or are you just going to sell out in another year or two? And if you sell out, what's going to happen to my job?
100%. I think that clarity is just so necessary for you and for to keep growing your company. Or like I said earlier, you're looking for people who are going to have careers with you guys.
Yeah.
You also mentioned, you guys are growing steadily. What are your, 5-year plans looking forward, and what are you guys trying to do to get there?
Well, this is where we haven't totally aligned as an ownership team. I can tell you, the year 2030, right? We have a growth goal of wanting to be doing 25 million a year in installed revenue. I can tell you that we want that to be an equal split between commercial and residential. And we want, 40% of the total volume to be commercial replacements, 40% to be residential replacements, and 20% of that to be in service work, just by dollar volume. I can tell you we want to be the brand leader for roofing in Metro Detroit. That's part of one of the identifiable goals for our internal team, so they can go, hey, are we on track? Is this what we want to do? We want to have 100 team members and the right people in the right seats doing the right things. That's where we want to go. From there, over the next 2 years, we're going to have a greater discussion because there's some, as my father transitions more, I'm moving more into what's called the visionary seat. And how many locations, right? How big? Those are some of the questions myself, my brother, Brian are all figuring out because I have this belief and I've kind of like forced it on them. If you can do something great, you can create a great environment, right? You have a moral obligation to your team and to the greater community. Well, then you better do that as big and as bad, and I mean bad as in awesome, as you possibly can, because anything short of that, you're not leaving money on the table. You're leaving like goodwill. You're leaving your moral obligation on the table to your community at large. So, tentatively, we talk about growing to somewhere between 4 to 5 locations, probably growing to somewhere in that 40 to $50 million annual revenue standpoint. Never forget, though, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. So it's not just focused on top line growth. To be around and to do what we want to do, the profit has to be there, right? Because we do offer some really long term securities and guarantees to our clients as well as our team members. So you do have to be profitable to be able to do those things. And then from there, you know what? Once we cross that bridge, I need to prove it to myself that we can do it because I always sit there and I always have this $100 million number in my head, and I go, is that my ego or is that no? We really should be shooting for that. And if you look at like the NRCA or Roofing Contractors Top 100, man, I don't think that's necessarily my ego. I think if we're a great organization, we really should probably be pushing for that. But, we are a team. So it's not just my decision. It's not going to be Junior said so. So that's what we're going to be. We're going to go through that same process. We're going to trust each other. We're going to hash it out and all be aligned on whatever those growth goals are once we achieve where we want to be in 2030.
And, shooting for that goal, what do you think is going to be the first thing that like breaks, or the first thing that's going to limit you guys on that road?
People, people for sure. And the question to me right now is it lack of people? Is it lack of skilled people? Or is it lack of needing people? This whole AI thing that's sitting out there. The plus side of being in the trades, I don't think for the foreseeable future, we're going to have flying drones installing roofing, right? I don't think that's going to be the case. But how does it change the estimating? How does it change the project management? How does it change the call center, right? How does it change marketing? Those are the things I don't know. So I summarily say people because, hey, are we just going to need a whole different class of people who know how to monitor and coach the AI systems? Maybe, right? Am I just going to need that many bodies and labor and technicians that are skilled? And that means I need additional trainers and technicians? Maybe. I know right now it's our biggest obstacle, even for 2026, is finding the right people. I can't imagine that's going to change. I just don't know how that's going to change. But there's good news. We're all in it together, and nobody quite knows how this whole AI thing is going to shake out. You listen to Joe Rogan, and super intelligence and Skynet are by 2030, and who knows? Well, maybe we hit our goal and Skynet launches, and that's all there ever was. But I have a little more optimistic view of humanity in the world, and I think it's going to be okay. It's going to just like the internet. The internet changed how everyone does business. This AI thing is going to change how we do business. I just don't know how yet, but I know it's going to involve people, and people will always be the biggest. We think it's our biggest advantage, but it'll also be the biggest obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys started dipping, your toes a little bit into AI and trying things out, or more just seeing how it plays out and waiting until, it's worth it?
No, like I'm a big believer in the Jim Collins book, Good to Great, and one of the things that always stuck with me was, the best companies didn't dive headfirst in on the change. They weren't at the back end of the change, but they were thought out and they knew what they were getting into before they made the full commitment. So we're doing things right now, like we just changed our chat bot on our website from being a live person to a fully automated AI system, right? Um, there's a lot of movement in the call center world where maybe the call center, and I'm kind of uncomfortable with it because I love that when you call us, you get a live human being who does have empathy and can answer the phone. But man, I've heard some cycles of that, and maybe it's not for booking or for warranties, but maybe it's AI for all other call center operations. We're looking even at there's some things happening, like the marketing side is crazy. What we're doing on marketing with a team of three, probably 5 years ago, would have taken 6 or 7 people, where you can build the prompts, build the profile in your AI system, and go, hey, these are the promotions I want to do for each of these months. Build me a day by day social media campaign with these types of images. And literally, with the push of a button, in less than 5 minutes, you have it. The follow up systems. And again, the call center there, man, maybe the follow up is each of my salesmen, and they record their voice and then it learns them. And the follow up is the AI phone system checking in with the clients as the team members here. That's where we're playing with it. But until I sat through the call center ones and I made the decision, not yet, right? I think it'll be involved at some point, but not yet. We want to really understand it before we make that commitment. And God forbid, I don't think it will cost. I don't ever foresee us like just letting somebody go because of it, but it is going to require some thought of, okay, how do we amplify the benefit of this human being to the company, to the bottom line? Because that's really going to be the transition. AI is the tool that should allow us to amplify what each team member is able to do. And just how what's that right mix? It's going to be some trial and error. It's going to be a lot of research. And I don't expect to be the first adopter, but I do expect us to use it, and just to use it in a thought out, impactful, and intelligent way. And I'm sure we'll screw it up a little bit. We always do, right? The emits, like, at least move forward, make a decision, learn from it, tweak it, and move forward again.
There's a lot to take from all that you shared there, especially on your guys' approach to these new things, your guys' approach to even some of the industry standards. Thank you so much for hopping on and sharing. I mean, we talked all kinds of things from what you guys are doing to how you guys are growing and making that a good experience for both commercial and residential. So yeah, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, Quaid, it was my pleasure. Anytime I get to hop to it, I'm going to do it. That's part of my gig here. But no, it was an absolute pleasure. I sincerely hope, anyone who listen to this takes, if you are a family business, hopefully there was something you were able to take away, implement, or at least give you some food for thought about how you, your family, your team are approaching things. And if I can ever be of help to anyone, I am the most on the net, on the grid person. So I promise you, if you need me, you'll be able to find me.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Thanks again, Phil, for coming on, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.